It's a pretty disturbing epidemic.
It is beyond catastrophic.
Almost 3/4 of Black children.
It's at an alarming rate in the African American community.
It's a crisis.
It's devastating.
The 72% number.
72%.
72%.
72%.
72%.
More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers.
I wish I had.
In 1965, Daniel Patrick Moynihan in his report said that 29% of African American children being born into out of wedlock households was a travesty. So if 29% is a travesty in 1965, what is 72% in 2013?
Sociologists, historians, lawyers, and every other professional under the sun, they're studying to try to find out why exactly is this statistic so high.
72% of children being born to in African American communities to single parents is a frightening number. Not because Black women aren't capable, not because it's morally wrong, but because it puts an economic pressure on the Black community that we can ill afford.
I think it's very important that we understand the history and, in many ways, the evolution as to the single parent home in the African American community. It goes back to pre-slavery days.
In Africa, prior to trade starting, what you had is basically tight societies. Everybody was linked to the land and linked to a spiritual system. Spirituality affected everything you did.
Single parenthood as a notion was not really pre-colonization and pre-slavery.
African men, broadly speaking, took care of their children, and that in some societies they may have been responsible for rites of passage. So they taught the men how to be a man, and they took them out and they taught them how to hunt, and they were initiation ceremonies. You had a phenomenon where the institutions supported the men being there.
A child was not necessarily property of their parents, it was a property of the family line. So there was no concept of a child sort of being on its own without no connection to anything.
The basic unit in many parts of Africa is the group. Okay, the idea that you are an individual separate from a group strikes them as an odd way of thinking.
Have you heard of the word baby mama or baby father?
No. Every marriage is supposed to be husband, wife, and children.
Yeah, it is not good for the child. Being a single parent, the child requires the cooperation of both parents, both the father and the mother.
Bismillah, wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. As to what follows, family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So now, before we begin, I will ask you to please like, please subscribe, please share. Please hit me up on Patreon. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And please share this particular video because it's going to be very, very deep. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Jandra. Now, the sister Tiffany Watson, she already put a great comment for us even before we begin, right? Which is, you do when you have unprotected sex outside of marriage, outside the confines of marriage, these types value being a mother before they value being a wife. 100%. 100%. And that is the problem. Now, if you had seen what I just posted in the beginning to introduce this topic, it was a documentary called 72%, a baby mama crisis, which was, I think it was, it came out in 2018, this particular documentary. So this documentary, again, it was outlining the crisis of having a single motherhood in the Black community, and the numbers as 2014 precise was 72%. We mentioned before during the Moynihan report, and one of the speakers gave the numbers at the time in 1965 was 29%, and Dr. Moynihan, he called that a crisis, an epidemic, in his report. So what we have here, walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Tika, walaikum salam, Brother Abdul Mateen. So what we have now is we have a culture of women who would prefer, as Sister Tiffany Watson pointed out, they would prefer to be mothers over wives. And this culture now has spilt over into the broader, we know that this exists in the broader Black community, but it also exists now amongst Muslims, where Muslims, particularly Muslim women, they value having children over husbands in the house, and they believe that they can do everything by themselves. Everything by themselves. They actually believe that. So they chase their men out of the houses, whether through, their bad attitudes, as Sister Shahrazad Ali, she so very eloquently pointed out in her book, The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. This type of very masculine tendencies, also feminism, all of these evils and ills that have crept into the Black community, and every single horrific, terrible trait that you can think of that will destroy a marriage, Black women have embraced that. So now what we have now is these ideas are being expressed publicly because of social media. And I came across a comment from a woman named Brittany Renner. Now, Brittany Renner, she is a career Fatina, as they say, right? Her whole career is pretty much essentially being a prostitute for athletes and whatnot, and she brags about that. And this is her whole thing. You understand? Basically sleeping with as many high-end athletes as she possibly can to get the bag. You understand? That's Brittany Renner. Okay, so what we're gonna do is gonna read an article first. I'm gonna share it with you, inshallah. So like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Right, you guys share this. One second, guys. So this is the title of this article, okay? It says, Brittany Renner scams athletes for easy pay because they don't wear condoms. And she actually said this. She said this on her Instagram. NBA Twitter widely speculates that PJ Washington could be paying $2.4 million annually in child support. So for those of you who don't know, PJ Washington, he is a basketball player, a rookie. His rookie year, 18 years old. Brittany Renner is in her 30s. And Brittany Renner, as the succubus that she is, professional succubus, she dug her claws into PJ Washington. Now, mind you, PJ Washington is an idiot. Let's just call it what it is. He's a total fool and an idiot for getting himself in this situation. We're not excusing him in any way, shape, or form. You know, he must have had people telling him that this woman is for the streets. But he wanted to make a hoe into a housewife. And this is pretty much what happens. We're going to read this article. Charlotte Hornets forward PJ Washington is dealing with unsubstantiated rumors that he's due to pay Brittany Renner $200K in child support every month. Washington announced his relationship with the Instagram model Brittany Renner in the middle of 2020. The couple seem to be going strong, welcoming a child together in May this year. However, they've fallen apart in the intervening period and have split up, leaving Washington's son's custody rights up in the air. The Hornets forward was apparently unable to meet his newborn son until recently. Now, this phenomenon about, you know, black men, whether they're Muslim or not, having black women weaponize kids against them is nothing new. It's nothing, whatchamacallit, like weird, or, you know, it's actually, if you show me a black man who's divorced with a black woman, even particularly in the Muslim community, right? And they have kids, and I'll show you a woman who has essentially used her kids as a weapon against the ex-husband, right? This is so common in the black community. It's unbelievable. However, with PJ Washington, this particular situation, he's an idiot. Let's just call it what it is. He's a fool, right? You know, and he got taken advantage of. However, I'm positive that somebody in his inner circle advised him, you know, about Brittany Renner. I'm sure, like, he must have had multiple teammates who ran up in her. And in one of our previous lives, I mentioned that men need to choose better. You do not choose women like this. So that's on him. That's partially on us. That's partially on him. But Brittany Renner publicly said that athletes are stupid because they never want to use condoms. Yeah, she said this publicly. You understand? And this is pretty much her career. But now she got pregnant for this basketball player, PJ Washington, and she secured an enormous bag. Mind you, PJ Washington, he was trying to make her into a wife. He was trying to build a family with her, a long-term relationship with Brittany Renner. You understanding me? That's what he was attempting to do. And any logical person will basically say you can't turn someone like that into a wife. It's impossible. You understand? It's not something that is a thing. It can't happen. Only through Allah's intervention, then maybe it might happen. But that is not a thing. So anyways, since Brittany Renner and PJ Washington, this basketball player, they split up, okay, her reputation now has become infamous because everybody's seeing the same thing. They're seeing this 30-plus-year-old woman who essentially took advantage of an 18-year-old kid to getting his life started. You know, she has a hell of a lot of experience with a hell of a lot of men. You know what I mean? Her biological clock may be ticking. Of course, 30 years old. That's usually around that time. Biological clocks start ticking and whatnot. And she secured a hefty bag by having this NBA player's child. Everybody's seeing this. Especially since he wanted to make a family with this woman. You understand? So now, since everybody's seeing this, her career of being a career Latina or whatever, ain't nobody looking out for her. Nobody's gonna be, trying to get with her because of what she did. You know what I mean? Nobody's that stupid, right? Legit. No matter how good she looks or how good she thinks she looks, ain't nobody coming up behind that. And she is seeing the writing on the wall. So now she's shifting to another audience. And who is she shifting to now? Her entire career, she's been chasing, athletes and whatever, mostly athletes, ballers and footballers, all kind of stuff. All kinds of men she had relationship with in the NBA and the NFL. You know what I mean? All kinds of men. So they buy her gifts or whatever. And now she can't do that anymore. So she is now decided to focus on single mothers, right? Not surprising. That part right there is not surprising. The surprising thing that even my jaw dropped when I saw these comments, right? The surprising thing is that Muslim women, black Muslim women, exclusively black Muslim women, and maybe Latina women, Muslim women, are supporting this. They're signing off on this. That's what's the shocking thing is. And if y'all don't believe me, I'm about to show you. Okay? I'm about to show you. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. So I'm going to share my Facebook with y'all. One second, guys. So this is my Facebook. This is what Brittany Renner said. Nobody plans to be a baby mama. Most people just want a family. Save the ring lectures because getting married doesn't guarantee a damn thing. You could do everything right and it still not work. Like, are y'all okay? Life happens. That lie never be me until it's you. Meaning that life never be me until it's you. Family. Who is this woman talking about? What exactly did she do right? What exactly did she do right? So anyway, this Muslim sister, Muslim, okay? Woo, so true. But it's going to be me married is all, which probably makes it worse than when it doesn't work. You see, it's stuff like this. It's stuff like this that not only is it embarrassing for black men, but it's embarrassing for the entire Muslim community at large. What did Brittany Renner do right? You're talking about a professional hoe and somebody who embraces her hoedom. And here come Muslim women singing her praises because either they hit the wall or they're single mothers or, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's checking for them. So instead of what you should be doing is checking Brittany Renner, they side with her. No accountability. Like, none whatsoever. If you read some of these comments, all Muslims, look at this. This is my comment. You know, y'all are obviously missing the point here. What is your point? Okay, you are still a baby mama if you were married and had kids and then are now divorced. Who describes baby mamas like that? Who describes baby mamas like that? If you have an ex-wife and you have children with that ex-wife, do you describe her as her baby mama? Who says that? You say that's your ex-wife. Look at this. Maria Perez couldn't have been said better. The most innocent virgin girl with the best intentions can end up being a baby mama. You can't make this crap up. Muslim women are saying this. Muslim women are saying this stuff. And I challenge you to find the Indo-Pacs, the Arabs, even the Africans who are signing off on this. Like Western black women, Western black Muslim women. Do you understand me? I mentioned to you before that I have no problems with my Facebook until I started inviting black people and Muslims to my Facebook. That's when all my problems started. And then you start seeing stuff like this. And these are real Muslim women. Like I don't even know what to say. But again, for the brothers, that's why I keep saying, when you find these Muslim women, do not entertain them. Don't even talk to them. Don't give them any attention. Please, just let them die off and go extinct. Please, so the world can be a better place. Stop marrying these types of women. Just stop it. You're ruining it for everybody. You ignore good Muslim women for this? So many good. I mean, there are Muslim women who are struggling to find good men, but you pay attention to that? All kinds of excuses. All kinds of crazy excuses. I'm going to let you on in a minute. Yasin, just wait for me, okay? Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Anybody who wants to come in, please wait for me in the back and I'll come get you, inshallah. But this is total insanity. Total insanity. And it's embarrassing. Yeah. That was yesterday. That was yesterday. And inshallah, I'll do a commentary on that. Sister Tika is saying you used to mention a Muslim woman from overseas who mentioned she had 3 bodies. And I was wrong because somebody sent me the link. I saw she was 20. She was actually 19 years old. 19 years old. So Brittany Renner, she's out here. She's singing old Negro spirituals about how nobody plans to have a baby mama, okay? But ironically, this is not her. That's the whole ironic thing. It's not her. Not only does she plan to be being a baby mama, but she got a hell of a humongous bag out of it. And nobody thinks like this logically anyways. Drunk drivers. I didn't plan on wrapping my car around the pole. Okay? Bank robbers. I didn't plan on getting caught by the police. Iblis. I didn't plan on getting kicked out of Jannah. She knew the game and she knew the score because that's her career. And here come Muslim women talking about virgin Muslim girls in the same sentence of Brittany Renner. How do you do that? Salaam Alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and
how you doing, bro?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you great.
Okay, thank you. Inshallah. Okay, yeah, it is I was on that. I saw that yesterday. I just didn't know who Brittany Renner was. So that definitely makes it even worse. because I just thought it was just someone out there. I'm not hip. I'm not up on the news, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely what was shocking and unfortunately not unusual were the comments that came from the Muslimas. Right?
Muslimahs.
Right.
Muslims are
Right.
doing this.
Yeah, that was unfortunate, and I tried to share a few things, and of course, at some point I had to just leave it alone because I could see that unfortunately they're on what they're on and they're not trying to come off of it. So they deserve to be put on Front Street, and like
Yeah.
you said, leave them alone like that. Leave them. In fact, I think one of my last comments was in basically speaking to others is just check out their timelines.
Yeah.
See, if you check out a person's timeline, you can see what they're into. No matter what they profess, the
Yes.
timeline tells the truth, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that's the point I made in my last comment was that you can ignore what people say, right? Rather, people will put one face forward, but their timeline tells the truth. So you'll
Yes.
see what they're really into. And that's typically what I do, period. I'll check someone out, I'll check their timeline out, and that'll tell me whether they fake, whether they are fake or real, And it was unfortunate. It was sad, really, to see those comments coming from Muslims.
Yeah. Yeah. Even it's sad doesn't even begin to describe it. I've seen the craziest things on Facebook, bro. I've seen Muslims, full hijab and everything, talking about their head game on Facebook openly, openly, and putting like the emojis of eggplants and stuff.
Right.
Wallahi, I never seen this out of the Pakistani community or the Arab community or any other subgroup like Indonesians or whatnot. It's just the black community. It's just the black community, and these women are wondering why they are single.
Mm.
You understand?
Right.
They're blaming the men. Like all of their problems in life, even though they are the only common denominator for their entire existence for all their problems, they never blame themselves. It's always somebody else's
No,
fault.
exactly. And I think that's the other thing I mentioned too. It was about not taking responsibility for choices, right?
Yeah.
I think I made that point. They make choices that lead to situations, and then they're ready to point the finger at someone else for the choices they made and the results which came from that. And so that was the other point I made.
Yes.
But one of the things is, and I'm not pointing fingers at any city, so I'm not naming anything, but there are just a few places where this attitude prevails in really large numbers, right? And so definitely be careful. And like you said, don't even give them any conversation. Check them out. If they're not, then don't, because you'll marry these women and they'll have one face up. You'll think you got this Muslima, this Deenan, that's serious about the Deen, and reality hits home. And I've known cases where it hits home quite abruptly, and the brother is in shock, and because he didn't suspect. He was naive. I think I was mentioning the other day, it's kind of like that Stevie Wonder cut from back in the 60s, or was it early 70s? New York, was it Living for the City, I think. But you're naive. You don't know.
Living just in
right.
for the city.
And you think, and I'm from DC, so we call it deep country, because when you go to certain cities up north, it is like, man, you think there's one thing, but there's a whole nother thing underground lying there, so
yeah. Sister Tiffany Watson, she writes, Brittany Renner is crazy and she isn't that ambitious. Every woman knows that the real bag is in getting married. Apparently not every woman knows that, though we agree with your sentiment. You know what I mean? She is getting by off of her looks. And also there's this culture, this incredibly backwards culture in the black community where black women think that their looks and big booty and all this kind of stuff is
Yeah.
just enough. You know,
Yeah.
they think that's enough. Like, you know, all the weaving and sandaling and fake nails and fake eyelashes and these type of things. You know what I mean? Jazakallah khair, Sister Tika. May Allah bless you and multiply it for you 1,000-fold. Everybody say Ameen. And may Allah give you just for those and forgive you for your sins. Ameen.
Ameen.
As a black Muslim, I don't want to be put in the same category as these sisters. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. And the problem is, Brother Yasin, mostly because of men have access to marriage. Okay, it's the men that always approach the woman for marriage, and they are the ones who are choosing these women, and they know pre-marriage what these women are about, and they still marry them because they're just hasty to get married. They just want to get their rocks off. You know what I mean? Quickly. You feel me? And so they marry these women. And then they cause even more damage in the black community because they start getting these women pregnant, and then these women chase them out the house. And next thing you know, you have black children growing up in this dysfunctional environment.
They married them for all the wrong reasons, for all the wrong reasons. And I know, I'm no spring chicken, been around for a little while, and so I know of brothers who have done this, and they continue to do it, the same thing over and over again. And the marriage lasts 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, year and a half is long for them, right? And they move on. And that's one of the things that we used to call it the revolving door, with the sister the brother marries her, and she's also got 3, 4, 5 other ex-husbands in that masjid or within that small community.
In the same masjid, yes.
Right.
Yes, in the same masjid. And at the same time, unfortunately, imams are seeing this happen. And and back in the day, they used to encourage it anyways.
Yes, that's right.
I mean? And now we are living with the results. We are living with the results of this dysfunction. Because
30
all these
years
children
ago.
are born
That's
in
right.
That's
right.
Now
You're right.
Now those children are grown up, they're adults, and they are in way worse situations.
Exactly. No, there's no doubt about it. It was encouraged and promoted, and there was this current underground where they would do this in certain communities, and it wasn't uncommon. And unfortunately, I recall a brother who married a sister. He was a good friend of mine. And he married a sister who he thought had been married 8 times. Well, the reality was the sister had been married 21 times. Okay.
Now you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So the thing
but even
was
8 times, if you thought that the sister was married 8 times, why are you marrying her though? That's the thing.
Right.
And
exactly.
These type of go ahead. What were you saying? Go ahead.
No. Yeah, exactly. The point you're saying is that the Wali system is broken. Right. They're supposed to, a lot of us are women, particularly our first generation Muslims. And so they don't have, and their sister, and I had this happen about 2 years ago to a brother who had accepted to become a wali for a sister. And because he warned her about a situation with the brother she was interested in, right? In fact, they came, she fired him basically because the next thing he heard from the sister that she had gotten married. Apparently she had swooped up another, fly-by-night wali and got married just to have the appearance of being correct, right? But it was definitely incorrect, and she married a brother who is bad for her, and this fly-by-night thing,
Abu Sufyan, he writes, and we wonder why our communities are weak. Exactly.
Family is the nucleus. If you have weak, and this coming up, they destroyed not just the black family, but there was a concentration to destroy the black family. It started in the 60s, and it it really gained strength in the 70s, and in the 80s it was full blown. I'll tell you, there was a time back in 1965, the Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud era, where our women, African American women, were referred to as sisters.
Yes.
And they referred to the men as brothers.
Yes.
And there was always respect.
Yep.
There was respect among us, right? I remember my dashiki, man. I had a couple of dashikis, my little, and we were going into the Black is Beautiful. James Brown grew a fro. He came out of his conch and grew a fro and came out with cuts like Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, and the groups like the Soul Children and all these, they had these big fros, and the fro was in natural. The sisters were wearing long dresses. These are not Muslims, just African Americans, period, started covering. They were about respect. But then came the 70s. And then in the early 70s, the Black exploitation movies and a bunch of other stuff started appearing. And by 1977, 78, it was pretty bad at that point. But by the 80s, I remember the first African American woman who told me, probably was 1980 or 81. She said that basically the I don't need a man thing, what can a man do for me?
That was Black feminism.
Look, do you know what I did? I was like, oh, done. That was the last time I even spoke to her, because I said that's insane. If that's her attitude, like you're saying, when you check these sisters out, and if it's not solid, and you have to investigate, you have to check out. And if you don't, and one thing I tell you, family is so important, and that's where we started at. And one of the things is that once you destroy family, you destroy the community. There's, how do you rise up? You first have to repair that foundation of community, which is the family. So how do we do that? Do you have any ideas?
Well, again, this is why we're doing what we're doing right now.
Very
This
beautiful.
is the whole point. And
that's right.
If you notice, I don't do gender wars. I don't do black women are this, black women. I don't do that stuff. What I do on this channel is try to come up with solutions to our problems, right? And we have to handle these issues head on and honestly. And if we can't have honest conversations about these things, how are they going to get solved? It's impossible.
It's impossible.
So now, things like this, when you're advising brothers, for example, don't marry their sisters, and Muslim women, if you are getting advice from these women like this, you need to cut them off, right? And don't talk to them. They are going to keep you single for life. You're getting incredibly bad advice. You know what I mean? Even the last the community talk that we had, brothers were coming and sisters were saying that this was therapeutic, and even Sister Tika, she's saying seek therapy, and they were saying that community meeting was therapy. Even for me myself, I found it therapeutic because we're having a brother and sisterly talk. It wasn't a man versus woman talk. It was the brother advising the sisters. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It was like a family meeting.
That's the beginning of the
beginning.
That's right. That's right. There's no doubt about it. We have to be honest. We have to be sincere about trying to and know what we're trying to accomplish, because if we don't, we'll never get there.
Exactly.
And so you're absolutely right. And one of the things I wanted to say also is that this guy, what's his Kevin Samuels, there are a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of Muslims, but it's not uncommon for Muslim young women to call him.
Yeah,
and some of them are undercover, but some of them are not so. They will, like this. The other day, you played the cut from that piece where Kevin, he got real. I was like, whoa. I was impressed with how he handled it, because he handled it right. He called it as it was spot on, right?
Exactly.
So the point, what made me think though, after seeing all of these, and I've been watching them for a few months now, is that why are so many Muslim women calling? We have to have something, because his program is very beneficial. in a lot of ways. We may not like sometimes the language he used or the harshness of his approach, but the fact of the matter is that he's bringing out some real issues. You know, when he asked the ladies, he says, "What can you give a husband that you haven't already given to another man?"
Yeah.
You know, when the first time he said that, even though you understand that, I was like, "Whoa," you know. Yes, because what happens is that a women out there dating, like you said, the young sister, she got 3 bodies at 19.
Yeah.
Right?
With hijab.
What kind of what?
With
And see,
hijab. Exactly. Exactly. You know what I mean? And this is what we're dealing with. So the women, the black women, our sisters, they have to understand that whether or not you like the approach, there is a completely shift in the behavior of black men now. And if you want black men, then you are going to have to compete for black men. That's just the bottom line. You know what I mean? Nothing I say is going to change that. Because black men are doing the things that are getting them, women who are not so confrontational. They are actually marrying out. They're marrying Moroccans. They're marrying Yemenis. They're marrying Syrians. Most of us in the black community know black men that are married to these women. And where I am in Canada, I just off the top of my head, I can't think of a black man other than myself, right, in my inner circle, right, that is married to a black woman, and we're all pro-black,
right?
Except for the Africans who are married, but we don't necessarily include them because they have family structures. But I'm talking like from the African descendants of slavery. You know
when I got to Saudi in '93, which was my second trip there. This was the trip that I stayed. I told you before, I stayed about 6 years, a little more than six years there. 2 months into me being there, I got married. I married my wife, who's my wife today.
And she's from where?
She's from Ethiopia. She's originally from Ethiopia.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met her uncle the first month I was there. Mm-hmm. And he asked me, was I interested in getting married? I said, yes. It was during Ramadan. Mm-hmm. He said, come Thursday and break fast with us. Mm-hmm. And I came and I met my wife for all of 10 minutes. Right. Mm-hmm. And she came in and we were joking about it because she was covered up, completely covered, just her face and her hands were under her hijab. And I told him I wanted to see her hands and I could see her feet, right? So I look at hands and, back in the day, hands and feet was about all you
could see it. Yeah.
Right. So you see the face, okay, but hands and feet.
Yeah.
So I said, so she left the room and he said, do you want to marry her? I said, does she want to get married? He said, yes. I said, I want to marry her. And I had a little gold gift and he sent the word over and I told him, give her this. It's just a gift, not part of the mark or anything. And the house lit up. They went, the women, they went through that, how they do that thing. And it must have been about 30 women, or at least it sounded on the other side of the house there. And I immediately felt like part of the family. And the next time I saw her, we were married. Right. And alhamdulillah, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have, mashallah, we have a family. We've been married since then. And I consider it a blessing. And I love her uncle. I think about him, make dua for him all the time, because I honestly, in this jungle that we were in then, and much less now, much more now, I don't know what I would have done in terms of, because I come from here. I was raised in DC.
Yeah.
I came with baggage. I just grew up, and that stay over there helped me shed a lot of that. But what has been my constant inoculation against foolishness is my wife,
Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? And this is what black women, they need to learn these things. It's not whatchamacallit. There's nothing wrong with going to somebody else's culture,
right,
and trying to figure out what it is to be a wife. You understand? There's nothing wrong. There's no shame. As a matter of fact, that's honorable.
That's correct.
You know what I mean? It's not that the good black women in the black community are getting over. That's not a thing. Nobody's overlooking those black women, right? Those the good black women. They will get married, right? The problem is that when black men marry the jigaboos and the Jezebels and the succubi, and when they marry those women, right?
Right.
What is the message that you're sending to the good black women?
Right.
And black women have a tendency to overvalue themselves. Even black men, we both actually, like, let's be real, right? Something in the black community. It's something in our this is it's something that we've been traumatized with.
It's part of that baggage that we
It's
carry.
part of that baggage, like straight up. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's part of that baggage. You know what I mean? So the issue, because Sister Tiffany, she's asking, why do we have to go to another culture when we have our own? Our culture, what you're talking about, our culture, I played the video at the beginning. I don't know if you saw it. Is showing that we have a 72% child out of wedlock rate. That's the problem. You understand? Our culture, we are the only people on earth that we have been force-fed diabolical, debaucherous culture and accepted it wholesale. You understand? That's the problem. You know what I mean?
And it's not that we, like you said, it's not that we don't love African American women. I do. I always refer to it as I say I love home cooking. You know, and that's how I say that, because I do, and I've made several attempts. You know, since my wife and I have been married, I had at least I think 3 attempts to bring on a sister after vetting, and I thought everything, but
it's good. Yeah.
And
your story is very common. This is what we're saying, and this is what black women need to understand. You understand that I put the stats out there that black women now at our time are getting divorced at a higher rate than they're getting married.
Yes,
they are the
that's
most.
right.
They are the most chronically single women or people group, if you include men, on earth. You understand? We have to be honest about this.
That's right.
We have to tell the truth about this, and if once we're honest about these quirks and issues, we can actually look at them under a microscope and fix these problems. But if we are always in a state of making excuses and being unaccountable and these type of things, how are you going to fix it? If you don't think you're doing something wrong, will you fix something that you're not doing wrong?
That's
you
right.
can't.
You have to recognize.
You have to recognize there's a problem first.
That's right.
You understand? This is a problem. You know what I mean? Even me, myself. You know what I mean? I have a high respect for Indo-Pacs because of their seriousness in getting education. Right? I'm in a few Indo-Pac. I got invited like a year and a half ago to some Indo-Pac groups on my WhatsApp. Okay. And I think I'm like the only black person in these groups, but I got invited. And the way that they deal with each other, you know what I mean? With this like it's a respect that you don't see often in the black community, right? And because I have that black fire in me, when I speak, they can sense it, like they can sense the fire. You know what I'm saying? Because they're all really very cordial and respectful, and they don't want to step on anybody's toes and anything. But I'm looking at like that, but they get things done, bro. Like legit. They will help each other get jobs and babysitters. Like they do all this stuff. They help their, and I'm seeing this happening. You know what I mean? But if you're not exposed to that type of thing, then how would you understand what you're doing wrong? You understand? So yes.
Yeah, you're right. There's a group called ALMPG, an IT group. I did a training, an AWS training with them maybe 8 years ago, right? But I'd heard about them back in 2006 or 7, about 2007. And what they do, they like me. I have my training program. I think I told you before. I do VoIP training and what have you. and they like train in their basement, right? They'll train up people, and then they put them on contracts. They have links because they're working together. They're able to make a call, and like I had a recruiter tonight tell me she had 3 positions open, and I told her send them to me. I have an IT group that I belong to. It's all African Americans, mashallah. All IT people. They're contractors. They are people who run their own contracts, and then they're just people who are looking for to be in the mix. So I told her I'm going to put it in there. So that's what they do so well. ALMPG, you go in there, they're advertising jobs. And they also, if you have a job in a city, like I'm going to Houston for a contract, you put it in there, there's somebody out there running a room or a basement. And they link people up. So they do, like you were saying, they work together. And that's what we need to do. That's what we have to kind of be, and trust. Trust is a big part of it. And I think that's one of the things that we lack. And it's not that there's not a reason why we don't lack it, because we've run game on each other time and time again. But,
yes, of course.
But we have to get past that and get to people who we can vet, and we can say this person is trustworthy. You can do business with them. It's much like when you're going to get married or you're going to do business with someone Islamically. You try to vet that person. You talk to people they know or people who've done business with them, and before you just dive in and throw your money on the table, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same thing,
Also, if you look at the Salaf, and particularly after the Prophet after he died, and the Sahaba and the Tabi'in, when they were doing their conquests in these certain, like in the East or whatever area it was, they would always accept the good parts of those people's cultures and incorporate it in the Muslim community, the larger, wider Muslim community. There's nothing wrong with Black people looking at somebody else's culture, whether it's white people or Indo-Pacs, or it doesn't make a difference, Somalian, African, and absorbing what you can use from those cultures if it's going to improve your community. There's no problem. This has been done. This has been done since the beginning of Islam.
That's how Islam spread throughout the world. And people respect that. And when you go places and you learn their language, like wherever I've traveled, I try to learn their culture and learn. And part of that is learning their language. That opens up doors for you. And that's what opened up doors for me. And when I was in the East, is that in the Middle East, is that they saw, one, I was Muslim. Two, I blended. I didn't come over there wearing my Eagles baseball cap and trying to look American. No, I blended and got the understanding. I'm not looking for McDonald's and Burger King, but I ate the local food and I began to like and I married from there, and began to. That's what opened up doors for me. So many doors.
Exactly. And I want to go back to your story about how you got married to 3 Black women previously, and each time it didn't work out. But the one that worked out was when you went outside. And Black men understand this, and this is why they're marrying out. And what Black women need to understand is that they have to take accountability for their their years of trauma and mind manipulation from Black feminism and these type of things, because nobody at the end of the day is going to feel sorry for us. As a matter of fact, the entire world is laughing at Black people. You understand? The whole earth is laughing at Black people. Nobody's going to feel sorry for the Black ghetto youth who has gone through the system. Maybe he's been brought up in a group home and now he's in prison and he's just getting out and he can't get a job. Nobody feels sorry for them, right? That's an us problem.
One of the things I recognize when I travel the world is that, first of all, we're from America, where everybody wants to come, right? I've never been anywhere where there weren't people who were trying to get here, no matter what. When I was in Europe, when I was in the Middle East, when I was in Asia, and so forth, right? So what what is expected is that when we come from here, we're Americans, we're African Americans. If we come and we have something, it's like you came from the gold mine, but you don't have any gold. What's wrong
Mm,
with you? How'd you come out of the gold mine and you don't have any gold? Right. And so that's kind of how they look at it. What's wrong with you? And you are looking for things that have no value. You're carrying things that don't have any value. But if you come out and you have skills and you have right attitude and approach and how to deal with people and what have you, and you have something to offer, you have something to bring, doors open up for you because they are expecting. One brother told me, he said when he was in Asia, I think it was in Malaysia, and a brother ran out of his business and to meet him because he's different. Same thing when I was in Kazakhstan. People want to know you, right? So the thing is that if you have something to offer, doors open up. But if you don't have anything to offer, doors don't open up for you, right? You're just
Yes.
going to be there. And I went there and that's it. And he asked the brother, he said, where are you guys? He wasn't saying, where are you? Why? But basically it was like, why aren't you all coming here and taking advantage of the opportunity here? Because there is opportunity there if you go with the right idea. But who's coming there? Who's going there and taking advantage of opportunity? you know
Exactly.
but they don't have any love for the people. They come to take and go back. We can come and bring value and bring business and what have and help the people while helping build our own. And that's what we're doing in Kazakhstan, and that's what we hope to do anywhere we go, right? So, and that's what, so and the opportunity is there. But the more we're united, the more we work together, the greater that opportunity is. And I was able to bring people to Saudi Arabia when I was there. Some of them who got positions and got into companies and stayed for 20, 30 years. Some of them are still right there right now, just because the
Mashallah.
door was open,
Mashallah. Mashallah. Yeah. So Sister Tiffany, she says going outside is the solution to the black relationship problem. Nobody said that's the solution. And we want black women, specifically black women, to understand this. Your feelings is not going to change the reality of what's going on in the ground. It's happening whether you like it or not. If you want things to change, then it's nothing what Brother Bilal says. It's nothing that what Brother Yasin Ahmed says. You have to change it within yourselves first. Because these experiences are getting written about, they're getting talked about, it's getting exposed. The whole world knows it. There are stats about it, and there's a little pesky thing that is in the way of your feelings called facts. These are the facts. Nobody said that this is a solution. Black men are doing this whether or not it's the solution.
And we just talked about what the solution is in terms of us being honest and sharing, like you were saying, that those therapeutic gatherings. But let's be real. Let's gather and talk about what the problems are and how we solve those problems.
Yes.
And and start to earnestly work toward resolution. It can happen.
Yeah, of course it can. Even I said that. I said that I don't think it's far fetched that we can turn this around. However, there has to be a complete shift in mindset. If you have never made a mistake in your life, then you please go and die alone. Okay? If you're not accountable for your actions, walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Hayden. If you're not accountable for your actions, if everything is not your fault, if it's always the fault of somebody else, okay, no problem. You know what I mean? Just stay by yourself because nothing is ever your fault. Men are more logical in their approach. They can recognize when they make mistakes or not. You understand? They can, okay, I could have improved this. I could have done that. However, in the black community, we're going to be talking about this on Saturday, inshallah. I encourage everybody. It's a community meeting on Saturday for black men. We're going to be talking about the baby boy syndrome, right? The baby boy syndrome. So black men, because of generations of being raised by single mothers, have internalized being adolescent perpetually into infinity. You know what I mean? and taking on these very irresponsible, effeminate traits.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So if we don't talk about these things honestly, they won't get solved. Nobody cares about us. Let's be very clear, okay? Nobody cares about us. Our relationship with the world extends as far as how much labor and wealth we can provide to other people. We have
Right.
to understand what our place is. And if we want to change that, complaining about each other is not going to fix it. Fixing it is going to fix it. Fixing it is going to fix it. Assess the problems in their reality, in their true state, and talk about how we can fix these problems. And with the women, it's as simple as developing wife qualities, being feminine, cooperative, in shape, not so confrontational. These type of qualities.
And one of the other things is that let's not as the women might say, that 800-pound gorilla in the room is the men, right? And are the men able to? Are we up to the task, right? Understanding, taking care. My wife and none of my wives have ever needed to work to contribute to the house income. I do that. I'll take care of that. If I have to take 2 jobs, that's what I do. But I take care of that. It's their job to take care of the house. And maybe if they're helping me run my business, then they can be part of that. But so what happens is, and I told you, I think before, my training program initially was directed at males between 18 and 25. I had older males in there, right? Some up in their 30s and even their 40s. But my plan was that if I can show a male coming out of high school, I can have him ready inside of what was it, 10 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. I can have him where he can walk into a job between $55,000 and $65,000 right out of high school. Or if he may be working as a stock clerk, he may be packing bags at the local grocery store. But I can take that person, and if they, and what they say, what are the prerequisites? I say, have you surfed the internet? Have you been on the internet? Have you searched and used Google? Okay, yeah, I've done. Okay, then I can teach you how to do this, right? And get them started and get them into, and I think I told you, some of those students are making 6 figures. Some of them are making very close to it, 80, 90, 100 plus thousand a year. It's been a few years. I started that in 2014. But the thing is also, it's not going to turn around overnight. But 2, financial, I think we said this before, that the economics has been played a large part in marriage
Divorces.
Divorces.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
divorces.
right.
Yeah.
And
That's
the responsibility.
that's a big reason why most marriages fail. However, 70% of marriages divorces are initiated by women. 80% in the Black community are initiated by women. Okay.
Right. And
So
the Muslim community numbers, I don't know how many.
we don't.
Yeah,
it's insane. It's insane. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So who are the ones initiating these broken families? It's the
That's true.
women, right?
That's
Like
true.
I said, the fact, you have to look at the facts of the situation.
That's true.
You know what
And
I mean?
in my case, each one of those 3 sisters, right? I took care of everything. One sister, I said, how much? Because I don't go into the marriage blindly. I said, how much does it take to run your household? Right? She told me X number of dollars. I said, okay, you got it. Right. And what happened is that an issue came up. She was paying $190 a month for cable. 190 or 180. It was up there, close enough to 200. Throw a stone.
Oh wow.
And I said, look, at my house, speaking of my house here in DC, I have a big family. It was just her, right? And I said, my cable bill is $90 a month, right? And that includes everything, right? After taxes. I said, so, we need to cut back. And she thought I wanted to cut back on the money. I said, no, it's not about that. Same amount, but I'm saying we can't waste. We can't because she was in school and working. She's hardly home. I said, honey, yeah, so let's bring it down. And that became an argument, right? And she thought I wanted to take money out and give her less. I said, no, I'm going to give you the same thing. But I'm just saying we can't waste. Let's be frugal and let's be smart, right?
Yeah.
So that, little things like that, that became, but she asked for a hula, right? And I tried to talk her. It wasn't just that. A couple other things came up. She wanted to argue, and I don't argue. I said, I'm not the type to argue. But the thing is that when it came down, she asked for a hula, and I I gave it to her, I obliged her after trying to say, look, let's hold on, let's try to work through it. Because that's the other thing. Let's try to work through this. She didn't want to, and she insisted. I gave it to her. But then, how often does it occur that you get that call? And I wasn't answering the call because we're not husband and wife anymore, right? And finally, I think I answered the call because she kept bugging me. And I said, well, she said, why are you not answering my calls? I said, we're not married. She said, you know what she said? She said, I only asked you for a hula once. Well, she asked a number of times. I said, you asked and I gave it to you. So it's done. It's not like talak, it's not, you get 3 runs with this thing, no, it's over. But how many brothers have you known that they have their wives come back and sometimes they relent because whatever and say, and then they end up in a position where the marriage is not actually correct at that point. Right. But it always they all ended in hula, and like you said, that's 72. What was it? What was that statistic?
70% of women in general initiate divorces. 80% of black women initiate their divorces. And black women are getting divorced at a higher rate than they're getting married.
Right.
Right. As well as 72% of children in the black community are born out of wedlock. 72%. Right. And here come the Muslim sisters, high-fiving Brittany Renner, for talking about no woman plans to be a baby mama. You need to chill with that. Okay, so brother Hayden has a question. We'll answer his question and we'll call it a night, inshallah. Go ahead, inshallah. Go ahead. You want to come on? Come on, bro. I'll leave the link. Yeah. So, at any rate, that's how you fix it, man. That's how you fix it. Like all of this innuendo and this type of arbitrary talk, we don't need that. We don't need any of that. We just need to get to the root of what is the root of the problem, right? Why are so many black women choosing having babies over having families? Why are so many marriages breaking up? That's it. That's all we need to know.
Right.
As particularly in the black community, right? We know in the black community, right? Our issues are not like everybody other issues because most of us are poor, right? You know what I mean? We're already broke. We already started.
Right.
We already started from zero. It's all begins and ends because of the way that black women have looked at and viewed the black man. I don't need no man. I can do it all by myself. Like, why do you have to do it by yourself? Like, do you have to?
Is that what you really want? Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what does that mean for yourself, for your social life, intimacy, relationships? What does that mean? If that's your conclusion,
Exactly.
What does that leave you? It leaves you to do something for the Muslimah, and that's why I said for the Muslimah, how do you even think like that? You can't think like that.
Yeah, that I was really like when I saw and it wasn't just one Muslim, as you saw in the Facebook post. It was several Muslims signing off on that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I was so like, it was just embarrassing. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing because only a black Muslim would do that.
Sister Tika says it's not just about money. So can she elaborate on that a little bit? Maybe because from the woman's perspective, what else is it? We know it's not just money, but you know, I don't know if she would elaborate a little bit.
But for me personally, anecdotal arguments, I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in the root cause. It's not these arbitrary anecdotal, that take you all over the place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Your situation is the norm. It's not. It's the rule. It's not the exception.
Gotcha.
Where a black man has tried over and over and over again because generally, black men are race loyal. We want a black woman.
Yes.
But it just doesn't work out. Now you go outside and it's working perfectly fine. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is what black women have to understand. If you're not competing for your man, if you're not competing for the black man, then what do you think he's going to do? He's going to go out, and this is happening now, right now. You know what I mean? But anyways, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for coming on.
No. Barakallah. I'm glad you brought this subject up, and hopefully, like you said, I think this Saturday is the meeting.
Yeah, this Saturday we're having a men's meet, so we want all the brothers to come, and on Sunday we're having a sisters meet, right? A sisters community meet, right? So we want all the sisters to come, and as we said, it's love here. Nobody's gonna get unless you absolutely deserve to get reamed out, right? You're not gonna get. We're not doing that here. We're not doing gender wars here. We're about fixing these issues.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Jazakallah.
So you don't have to be afraid. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Saturday is good. See you then. Definitely.
See you then, inshallah.
Naam. Barakallah. Salaam Alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.